record a video. This is going to be a basic rundown of what I use to make noises with. That includes guitars, amp, pedals, stuff like that. I'm going to show you what I use, why I use it, and let you hear what it sounds like if you hadn't heard it before. So first things first, I'm going to start off with guitars. So I have three main electric guitars here. First one is my Squire Venus. The first guitar I use, this one is the one I've had the longest, 98 Squire Venus. This has a DiMarzio humbucker with phase tap, and this is, I think, a Seymour Duncan hot rail in the neck. I've had this guitar for 13 years, something like that. I bought one of these new, had it stolen several years later, and bought another one just like it. So this is one of a 1 year only run of these. They only made them one year, and I really like the way it feels, like the way it sounded, so I got one. This was my main guitar for a long time. This is Big Red. This is a stock Mexican Strat, made in Mexico, nothing modified on it, bone stock. You know what these are. This is a Bolt Les Paul prototype. A local guy named Josh had this custom built for him, which was eventually going to be a Signature Series guitar, mass-produced by Bolt. They went out of business. He ended up keeping the prototype, so this is a one-of-a-kind, only one like it. And it's nice, actually. It's basically just a mahogany Les Paul knockoff, except that it's got a contoured neck heel, which I really like, set neck. And I installed some Fishman Fluence Devin Townsend pickups in it. And the way this is set up is I've got these two switches here, do the two different voices, and these two push-pull pots do the coil taps for each one. So you can do them individually and blend them however you want. So far, I like it. It doesn't sound like a Strat though. The coil taps on it sound a lot like a coil tap on a Paul Reed Smith. It still sounds like a coil tap humbucker, but it's a nice guitar. It's got a good neck, plays nicely. It's heavy, solid mahogany. This thing weighs a ton, but it sounds really, really good. Okay, so the other part of my original sound. This is a 1990s Fender Ultimate Chorus. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. It has a mono and a stereo effects loop. It has a stereo chorus circuit, just like a JC120, a Roland. And it sounds a lot like a JC120, except that the clean channel has kind of more of a Fender kind of EQ on it. And the dirty channel, it's a solid state dirt, so it sounds very hair metal, gainy, fizzy kind of sound. You can tame it a little bit. It's not unusable. It just has a very distinct kind of sound. Actually, it doesn't sound too bad. It has a mid boost button right here. That actually gives it a more of a Marshall kind of flavor. If you turn that off, it sounds a lot like just a really overdriven, I don't know, like a Mesa Boogie or something like that. But with the mid boost in, it sounds very Marshall-y. I mean, relatively. I mean, it's still an open back 212, so it's not gonna thump like a 412 will, but it's 130 watts, solid state. Special one-off speakers for this model. They also made a 210 version of this called the Princeton Chorus, which is, I think, 40 watts. If you find one of those, snap them up, dude. They're a steal. They sound great. They pretty easy to play on, and the clean channel is absolutely fantastic on these amps. So the way I use it most of the time is I just run my pedal board, which there's my big monster pedal board. I actually use a mixer and stereo outs direct into the stereo effects return, and I basically use this as a full range cabinet, powered speakers. I just use the power amp and the speakers on it because I can do all the amp modeling and stuff on my pedal board. However, I could use it as an actual amp if I wanted to. It really does. It sounds really good. Okay, so this is Rig Rundown Part 2. This is the fun stuff that you guys came to see. So this is basically what I've been using to do ambient music on my YouTube channel. But I also have used most of these pedals for playing in church, playing worship stuff, you know, Bethel, Hillsong, all that fun stuff. So let me give you a quick rundown on how this works. So guitar goes into the Boss tuner, which it's just a really good tuner. The small red pedal, this is a build your own clone, Dynacomp clone that I built. Has a little more gain than the original Dynacomp, but it sounds pretty much exactly the same. The Boss OC3 Super Chorus, a Super Octave, is, I use it two different ways. This has several different modes in it. If you look, it has this knob here. You can set it to poly mode, which allows you, in poly mode, this knob adjusts the cutoff range. So it's actually a low pass filter so that it only does octave down on up to this range. So you can set it so that it only octaves down like the bottom octave of the guitar, which is nice if you're doing like open chords or, you know, stuff like that. It works really well for that. You can also set it to just regular octave mode, which gives you octave and 2 octave down, which is what I use to do bass drones when I do ambient stuff. That's all done with the OC3. It's a good pedal. I like it. This AMT volume pedal is active. Has a little LED right there, right? This little switch right here is actually a boost switch. You can see down there, 0, +6, and +12 decibels. Gives you a volume boost. So it works as a clean boost, an always-on clean boost, and a volume pedal. So if you've got a guitar that's got kind of weak pickups, you can actually use that to bump it up. This pedal is a build your own clone 27 volt clean boost. This is the gain and this is your treble knob, so you can actually use it as a treble booster or cut, or however you want to do it, but that's a treble knob, which I was too lazy to actually take a Sharpie and write on it, but you know, that's what that is. And the very, very good MXR Sugar Drive, excellent overdrive pedal. I run it with the gain right here at about halfway, and I roll the tone up to about 3 o'clock because it gives it a little more bite. It sounds a lot like a Wampler Tumnus, except that this has a little more high-end clarity and bite, and it cuts through a mix better than the Tumnus does. Don't get me wrong, the Tumnus is a fantastic pedal. I love it too. But for what I used it for, the Sugar Drive is better. So if you're considering using one and you've got a very big band that has, like, you know, keys and bass and backing pads and all that stuff, Sugar Drive will cut through where a Tumnus will just sound muddy. Really good pedal, really good. Okay, so this is a MIDI controller. I bought this a long time ago. It puts out program changes and MIDI clock, so I can actually use it to set the delays and drum beats on this. So we'll get to that in a second. So this is a really nice pedal. It's big. They have a lot smaller pedals that do the same things now. So if I were going to replace it, I would get something smaller. But this does the trick. I've got it. This is a flat MIDI cable. These flat cables, like this green one, and all of these other cables, all of those, including the TRS cable for this, that's all flat cables by Warwick, Rockboard flat cables. Really good stuff. I like them. They're cheap, and They sound fantastic and they work very well. They're very tight space. Okay, anyways, back to the signal chain. So it goes from here, compressor, octave, volume boost, clean boost, overdrive. Then we get to this bad boy. This is the Roger Lynn Adrenaline 3. Probably one of the best kept secrets of studio musicians. If you listen to John Mayer at all, or Mayer, however you pronounce it, if you listen to John Mayer at all, this is the sound on Bigger Than My Body, that sequenced filter thingy thing. This is the pedal that does it. This is the pedal that does it. So, but what most people don't know is, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see all the stuff it's got on it. It actually does amp modeling. It has modulation section. Here, I've got dust on it. It does amp modeling, so you got different amps, drive, mid, bass, treble. It has a delay, which is just a clean digital delay. It has a compressor. It has a very simple room reverb, and it has a drum machine in it also. Plus, it has a limiter and also a tuner, which the tuner is not great, which is why I still use my Boss one. But so this does all of that stuff. This is like an all-in-one. Like, this is way before the HX Stomp. This thing is going on 10 years old. This thing has been around for a long time, but it's got good models in it. Mostly what I use is the AC30 model, but for some more high-end gain stuff, it's got several custom amp models and stuff like Marshall JCMs, 5150s. What else does it have in it? It's got like Soldanos, dual rectifiers, some high gain stuff, but it's got like Fender Deluxe Reverb, Fender Twin, Fender Champ. It has a JCM 120 model in it, has an AC15, AC30, and a couple other things in here. So it's very flexible, very versatile. Does a lot of cool stuff. However, mostly what I'm using it for now is the amp modeling and the digital delay. That's pretty much all I use it for now. And every now and then I'll use the filters and stuff on it, but that's rare. But it'll do that. It'll do all of that. Now, the reason that I have the rest of this stuff here, and I'll show you the rest of this, all of these pedals are wired in stereo. This is, of course, a Danelectro 18-volt chorus. Basically the same circuit as in a JC120 or a Boss, what is it, a chorus ensemble, CE2 or CE1. This is the same circuit. Very simple, very good. It's the same circuit that's in my amp, so when I play direct, that's why I bought this, because it sounds better than a digital chorus, and it's all analog, stereo, and it rocks. Okay, that goes into this, the Digitech hardwire. The TR7 is one you don't see a whole lot of, but it's got several different tremolo modes, so it's got like optical tremolo, it's got regular, it's got bias style tremolo. It's got a dual tremolo, which actually gives you two different rates that you can superimpose. That's kind of cool. Has a Leslie speaker, rotary speaker sim, Rotovibe, and a Vibropan, which I use those every now and then. It's pretty good. It has tap tempo, so if you hold the pedal down, you can actually, do subdivisions. It'll do that, so it's kind of cool. It's a good pedal, actually. I got it for a steal. You can still catch these on Reverb for like, $60. Really, really good stuff. Anyways, so that goes to here, my Alter Ego 2. This one I mostly use. This one will do a lot of things, but I mostly use it as ambient backing, layering kind of sounds. So I have it set to the Roland Space Echo mode, high feedback, long delay time, and I've turned the level down some, so it's kind of underneath everything else. So if I play a digital delay into this, and it gives it a really low, washy background kind of effect, which is exactly what I want. It'll do a lot of other things too, but that's right now, that's mostly what I'm using it for. This Obviously, you know what that is. It's a Hall of Fame 2. The tone print I have it set on is basically a church setting with tweaked mash knob settings. So I use the church setting pretty much all the time. That's about it, really. That's about all I use it for. The church, I mean, the octave setting on it is okay, but the shimmer is not nearly as good as like an RV6. So I just use it for church setting. It sounds really, really good. This beast of a pedal is obviously a DL4. You can use it as a looper. So if you set it to that, you're talking 28-second looper, something like that. But mostly I use it for, this is a ping pong delay, this is a single analog delay, and this is reverse delay. So that's the three things that I use it for, and sometimes I'll use it as a stacked looper as well, because it can do that too. And then of course this bad boy right here, the Jamman Solo XT. This is a really good pedal. The little rhythm things in it are garbage, but it's really, really good for looping. But it also has an SD card on the side of it right there. See a little SD card? That you can store preloaded backing tracks on, including ambient pads, stuff like that. It'll do all of that. So I actually, when I play solo with my acoustic guitar, I use this to play backing pads. I can just pick what key I want it in. If I'm starting A, this would be B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E. So I can actually pick what key I want it in and then just hit play and it'll do it. So that's pretty cool. So that goes out to the mixer. This is a USB audio out in and out mixer. So when I'm recording videos, I actually use the USB out. The mains and the USB out goes to the phone to record audio directly on the phone, and then I use the control room outputs to go to the amp to monitor with, so they can be different volumes, and I can record it like that. So that will kind of give you a rough idea. So that's the basic layout. Alright, so just to kind of give you an idea how this works. So my main sound, right, we're going to do, you know, Hillsong-y kind of washy stuff, you know, something like that. So what I'll do is I'll start with my AC30 sound, and this button is mapped to delay. So if that turns the delay on and off, this turns the boost on and off. So just that, and turn the chorus off, turn the delay off. So just the compressor and the Lin. Oh, that's better. So that's the red Strat, no big deal. Okay, so the different variations I'll have on this, obviously I'll use the volume pedal for swells. If I'm playing something faster, I'll put the overdrive on. And for solo lead lines, I'll kick the 27 volt clean boost into that, so you know. Digital delay there. Now the digital delay on the Lin does have a high-end roll-off, so you can put a little low-pass filter on it and kind of roll off the highs a hair, or you can have it 100% crystal clear. That's fine too. You can use this button, the right button, as a tap tempo. I want to say it is dotted eighth. So if I bump that up to 135. pretty cool. Chorus I leave on most of the time. Maybe not turned up quite that much, but yeah, that's... It's pretty good. That with the reverb, the Hall of Fame, so that now we've got... Got some nice... Pretty good. So if I want to do swells and pads, I'll turn the alter ego on, and that gives me some long ping pong wash underneath all of that. So I can't quite reach the volume pedal from this way, but just kind of... I can get with just that. So all that is the compressor, the AC30 model, digital delay, chorus, this ping pong delay. Here, let me let you listen to what that sounds like by itself. So the alter ego is here. It's... It's got just a little bit of tape warble in it, but it's got a nice long decay. That's where all my modulation comes from, basically, except for the chorus. So you roll that into the Hall of Fame and you got some big fat pads for days. Add a little more modulation, some digital delay on top of that. Put it on the middle pickup and do swells like that, right? So that's the majority of my my worship sounds. When I'm doing ambient stuff, I'll do other things too. I will turn on this. I think this is set to tremolo right now. Yeah, here, let me let you listen to that. So just the tremolo. So put it on rotary. Which is great because if you put it in tap tempo mode, you can do fast to slow Leslie ramp ups and downs. It's great. Pretty great. Yeah, I like that a lot. The Roto Vibe, very much like a Pink Floyd-ish kind of sound. pretty good roto vibe sound. The vibro pan is actually kind of cool. Yeah, I know, that sounds horrible. So what I do is I turn the depth all the way down, and this knob in vibropan mode, the third knob works as a phase control, so you can hear it in stereo. It's actually like pushing back and forth between the two speakers. So that's really good if I pair that with like a high gain kind of sound, like I don't know, like something like this. It's just huge vibrato, out of phase, kind of back and forth sound. It's just great. It's fantastic. Anyways, so that's what I use that for. Yep, high gain stuff. I think that's a 5150 model, I'm pretty sure. No, that's the mid boost. So 5150 will be this. Oh, I'm still on the middle pickup, sorry. So it's got some good sounds in it. It's not a bad pedal. I mean, considering how old it is and how old the models are in it, it sounds pretty good. I mean, I like it. It sounds good. I don't care what anybody says. I like it. It sounds good. Okay, so the DL4. Okay, so this is, I think, the reverse delay. Yeah. So this is really good if you're doing like big lead lines. I would put digital delay, some of the vibropan reverb, and then the reverse delay on top of that, and maybe even a boost on it. And this will give it just this really killer. And you can hear it come back. I love that. It's really cool. That's a really great sound. Oh, love that. Okay, so single analog delay, really, really thick and analog-y sounding. Yep. And this one is ping pong. So what that allows me to do, since the DL4 is after the Hall of Fame, I can do a ping pong background with the Alter Ego or before the reverb, or I could do a ping pong with the DL4 after the reverb. So at some point I will probably replace this, and this. All of those can be replaced with a more Ocean machine. So maybe at some point I'll do that, I don't know. But that would clear up like 3 or 4 spaces on the board, so I may do that. And I probably don't need the master control anymore either, so if I get rid of that and a couple of these and replace that, I may actually end up being able to shrink this back down to a smaller board. I don't know, we'll see. But so that's basically how it works. So that's my basic sounds. And oh yeah, I'll let you listen to the OC3. I don't think I played that at all. We'll go back to there and turn the OC3 on. Watch, if I turn the direct all the way off, all you hear is the octave. And if I put it in, see, like this is the range knob, so see if I play further up the neck up here, you don't really get any octave, but then you keep going down. So you can set that knob to where it'll only do octave like for the first. It'll start cutting out after you go up to the next E or whatever. Something like that. About that. And of course, if you set the knob all the way up, the range knob, then all the notes are octaves. I'm just playing random notes, I don't care. So that range knob is kind of useful. If I set it to just regular octave mode, now I have 2 octaves, 1 and 2 octaves down. Doesn't track very well in single note mode though. It's kind of a neat robot-y kind of effect, but that's not really what I want, so I don't know, whatever. And then it has a drive mode, which is an octave fuzz, basically. If you like just really nasty, raunchy octave down fuzz, it'll do that. Most of the time, I will set it to poly mode, set it all the way up, set direct and bass it about the same, and I can do, you can do like Audio Slave or Rage Against the Machine kind of stuff with it. I hope that answers some questions. That's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, just ask.